Hello, word nerds, and welcome to the dictionary hosted by me, Spencer. This is episode F68. I'm going to skip one of the words, maybe one or three of the words in this episode, and if I am able to get a guest to record about those, then that will be great. And if not, then I'm just going to have to record them by myself at another time. And you're just gonna have to deal with it. Okay? Okay. So yes, I think I will put some effort into that before this episode airs. So, the first word in this episode is the second form, right? Is this the second form? Yes, the second form of the word fetch, F-E-T-C-H. Noun from circa 1530. Let's remind ourselves about the first one was the verb, taking a thing, going a ways and getting a thing and coming back with it. A body to hold a course on a body of water, take a round way about, to retrieve killed game, etc., etc. So, number one for the noun of fetch, the synonyms are trick and stratagem. How to use that in a sentence? Going to itch my eyelid briefly. A trick or a stratagem. Now, were any of these other ones kind of about that? I don't know. Maybe a trick or a stratagem. That the magician fooled me with a fetch. Number two, an act or instance of fetching. Number 3A, the distance along open water or land over which the wind blows. The distance along... so the wind is blowing, minding its own business. It goes over water. And the section of water, the distance, the length of water that the wind is blowing is the fetch. There was something in the verb. What did we have? This is the problem about going out of order a little bit, and also having a 4-day holiday and not recording for a little while. I forget everything. Bring about, accomplish, taken, bring forth as a sound, heave, reach, to reach by sailing, especially against the wind or tide. That was one of the verb definitions. 3B, the distance traversed by waves without obstruction. The distance traversed by waves without obstruction. So, how do scientists, water scientists, use this? Wave fluid dynamic scientists, maybe? The waves went a fetch. They never stopped waving, so they went a very long distance, which was a fetch. Huh. Ha 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 ha. So interesting. Okay, now, I guess that's it for the noun of fetch, the second form. I need to make a sound effect. I'm going to go... Now we have the third form of fetch, which is also a noun from circa 1787. The synonym is the number one definition for doppelganger. Is this literally just like somebody who's the same or looks the same or something like that? Unless there's a different one, I will bring that up quickly and briefly once I find the correct section. Here we go. Doppelganger. Number one is a ghostly counterpart of a living person. Do we all have ghostly counterparts? And they're called fetch? I've never heard of this. The origin is unknown. What? Oh my gosh. Now we have fetching. Adjective from 1880. The synonyms are attractive and pleasing, as in a fetching smile. And fetchingly is an adverb. It's the fetching smile. You do it to make people, to try to attract them to come to you. It's like your fetch. It's like your smile is sending out a signal to fetch the person, and then they come over, or whatever it is that you're trying to attract. Fetch it, fetch him, go get him. Fetch the stick. Okay. Ooh. Now we have fetch up. 2 words. Verb from 1599. Starting with transitive. Number 1, to bring up or out. And the synonym is produce. So just to make a thing, create a thing, produce a thing. To bring it up, bring it out. Fetch up. Fetch up? Yeah, I don't think we use this so much. Number 2, to make up. And the thing that you might be making up is lost time. Ooh, I don't think I've used this either. I mean, I do sometimes use the phrase to make up time. I got to make up time. I'm running late. Let's go quickly. The problem is when you go quickly, you make mistakes. I know I do. And so, but you can say I got to fetch up, catch up. I've heard catch up, ketchup, catsup, ketchup, catsup. But fetch up? Did it go from fetch up to catch up? Number 3, to bring to a stop. Just stopping a thing altogether. I feel like these are all very different, aren't they? Now we have intransitive. To reach a standstill, stopping place, or goal. And then also just end up. To reach a standstill, to get to the end, basically. To reach the goal, you've ended up at a place. This could be you have ended up at a place in your life. You have ended up at the end of your journey when the GPS says, hey, you've arrived. And then I say, I fetched up to my destination. We have an example. May have fetched up running a village store. That is a quote from Jeffrey Household. Jeffrey's last name is Household? That's an interesting last name. May have fetched up running a village store. So I was like, that's the end of my life. I have reached the end. I am running the store in the village. That was my life's goal. I have fetched up to that goal. So interesting. This one, if you use this in your life, please let me know. Ooh. Now we have the word fate or fête, pronounced either way. It is spelled F-E-T-E, or you can add the accent over the first E, which is the little hat, the little carrot, looks like a little hill. This is the first form of fate or fête, noun from the 15th century. Number 1, the synonym is festival. Festival. Number 2, a lavish, often outdoor entertainment. Oh, we're going to have just a little fête, a little fete out here with some instruments and singing, some entertainment. Maybe a magician doing a fetch. 2b, a large, elaborate party. I feel like maybe I have heard this before. Let's have a fête, a fest, a thing, a celebration, a party. But I wouldn't have known what this was if you just said, what's a fête or a fete? Spelled F-E-T-E. Where does this word come from, though? That's what I want to know. It is French, of course. From the old French fest, and there's more at the word feast. So yeah, it just sort of went fête to feast and fest and festival and all those things. In fact, if we go back to fest, not that one. I'm assuming that one of these, like maybe festival, would have had the French word fête in there, but I don't see it. Maybe it wasn't there. It was never there all along. Okay, so now we go, the second form of fête. This is the verb form, spelled both possible ways. It does not have pronunciation, so I assume it's the same, fête or fate. But what's interesting is that they flipped the the spellings. The first one, oh no, sorry, they didn't. That was on me. I'm so sorry. I made a big mistake. Fetid, fetine, those are the other forms. Verb from 1814 looks like it's only transitive. Number 1, to honor or commemorate with a fête. We are going to fête you with a fête because you did such a good job raising money for the homeless people that you deserve a celebration. Number 2, to pay high honor to. Yes. I don't know. I don't think there's any additional etymology other than this comes from just having a fest, a festival, a party, and you are honoring a person with that party. Let's have a fête. For who? I don't know. We'll find somebody. We'll just pick some random person, and then we will honor them. But the whole point will just be to have a fête. Or fête. Which pronunciation do you like? I feel like I've heard fête more, but fête might be more French. It's the first one. So now we're going to go on to maybe a related word. Woo! We have fête champêtre. This is very French. 2 words. The first word is fête with the caret on the first E, and the second word is champtre, and that first E in petre also has that little caret hat symbol, accent. I cannot remember what that one is called. Champêtre. Fête champêtre. I hope I'm saying it okay. This is a noun from 1774, and it is an outdoor entertainment. An outdoor entertainment. It's very similar to these other fête that we had. It's a party, it's a thing, but this one is specifically outdoors. Why? Well, let's look at the etymology. What does champêtre mean? It literally means rural festival. A rural festival. A festival out, maybe in a farm, outside, out there, not in the city. Although if you could have a fête champêtre in the city, you just have to have it outdoors. That is what it became. Okay, that's great. For fête. Now, we're going to go to... we have feticide. Oh, okay, I think I know where this is going. Feticide, Feticide, noun from 1842. It's when you are murdering the fetishes. No, it's much worse than that. This is the act of causing the death of a fetus. Well, I mean, I guess technically, would you say abortion is feticide? Sometimes it for the health of the mother, the person who is growing the fetus, it's maybe kind of a necessary thing to do. There's a lot of emotion and connotations with this suffix side, the killing of a thing, whatever the first part of the word is, and do we just assume it's bad all the time? No, it's all a case by case thing. We're not going to get into the abortion conversation right now. We'll save that for the A's, which we already did. Okay. Now we have fetid. Fetid. This is an adjective from the 15th century. The British people like to say fetid. Fetid or fetid. It is having a heavy offensive smell. As in a fetid or fetid swamp. I didn't know swamps were stinky. I mean, I guess I would sort of assume that they are, but I don't know. Maybe they just smell very planty. A synonym is malodorous. Malodorous. I really hope that I am not a fetid person. There are times, for sure, when I am fetid. But in general, I would like to think that I am not. When I work out, or if sometimes when I'm recording here with a guest, just last night I did, and I'm in this closed room and it gets very warm and we're here for a couple hours and there's a lot of talking and stuff and my armpits get a little sweaty and maybe I get a little fetid. I don't know if I have a heavy, offensive smell. But I have been there. I have been that fetid person. Fetidly is an adverb. Fetidness is a noun. And where does this word come from? I would like to know. It is from Latin foetidus, which is from foetire, which means to stink. I don't know if they pronounced it. It's spelled Foetere. So do they say foetere? Or do they just say fatere? Something like that. To stink. To stink. Ooh. 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 Okay, I'm going to make a sound. Woo! And maybe this is where my guest will come in. I hope so. And here I am, alone again. Unfortunately, I was not able to make it work with a guest, so here we go with the next word, which is fetish. Fetish. Oh, interesting. You can also spell it with a CH at the end instead of an SH. Does that change the pronunciation? It says no. No. But you can also pronounce it fetish. I wonder if there's a connection with your feet with that one. Okay, interesting. Let's talk about the word fetish. Let's see. This is a noun from 1613, number 1A. An object as a small stone carving of an animal believed to have magical power to protect or aid its owner, and broadly, a material object regarded with superstitious or extravagant trust or reverence. I have never heard of this object, this type of object described as a fetish, but I think we'll see an evolution of how it started with that and turned into what our modern day brains think of this word now. Okay, interesting. And a small stone carving of an animal believed to have magical power to protect or aid its owner. You know, energy is a funny thing. And I am not here to say that this is not possible. I have been hearing about some things that most people think are probably impossible, and I don't know about that. So, you know, a stone or something, a crystal, having some energy, power, something in it to protect somebody, why not? Why not? Also, there's a thing called the placebo effect, where if it's not actually happening, you believe that it's happening, and even just that belief could actually have physical effects, physical ramifications. So, hey, sure, why not? Why not? 1B. An object of irrational reverence or obsessive devotion. Whew. The synonym is prepossession. I feel like I've seen that synonym somewhere else, and I don't remember where it was. Prepossession, an object of irrational reverence. So it seems like this one sort of came later. People were holding this objects, maybe these carved little animals out of stone, and they were like, this is really important to me. And then as time went on, maybe it became a little bit extreme. Their love for this thing, like Gollum and the Ring. It was his precious. My precious. Precious. I cannot do a Gollum voice. But I do hack sometimes and I go, Gollum. Okay, an object of irrational reverence. So you're like, it's your love for this thing is so beyond quote unquote normal. And you are obsessed about it. The ring was Gollum's fetish in this context. 1C, an object or bodily part whose real or fantasized presence is psychologically necessary for sexual gratification and that is an object of fixation to the extent that it may interfere with complete sexual expression. Okay, we took it into another direction. You can see the evolution, 1A, 1B, 1C. People are so devoted to a thing, and like with a lot of things, us humans, our brains go to sex. For many, many of us. Not all of our brains. And not all the time, but many of our brains go to the sexual things. And so this object, this thing, it's like, oh, you love it, you're devoted to it, and you can't, in this context, you can't really get sexual gratification. You sort of need this thing, either the actual thing or the fantasy of this thing. And what else did it say? The presence is psychologically necessary. Yeah, psychologically necessary for sexual gratification. Fixation to the extent that it may interfere. What is that is an object of fixation to the extent that it may interfere with complete sexual expression. I think that's what that's saying, is that you are not satisfied, your sexuality is not fully expressed without this, if you don't have this object in your sexual world, I guess. This is where I have to call out the podcast Taboo Science. I was trying to get the host of that show onto this episode to talk about this, because she did a whole season of fetishes, and every episode was a different fetish, if I'm remembering correctly. So I'll put a link in the show notes for that show. It's a fascinating show to begin with. All the information is very scientific and researched and tracked and all that stuff, fact checked, if you will. And so it's super fascinating. And yeah, she really dug into people's fetishes. And there's the typical one, which I think she touched on in one of the episodes, was feet. And for some reason, there are a lot of people out there who are like, the feet are the thing. Those are the thing that's the thing that I love sexually. And I don't know why. It's just one of those funny things that happens. And there's a lot more fetishes out there than you would probably ever even come up with. But I love the phrase, we are not here to yuck anyone's yum. You got to do what's right for you. So if you got a fetish, fetish it up. Fetish, I don't have any other phrases for that. Number 2 for fetish or fetish, a rite or cult of fetish worshippers. Oh, so is this the one where they're like worshiping the little stone carved elephants? And they're worshiping that? Or is this the sexual kind of thing? And the whole group, the cult, they are the fetish. This one I'm not so sure about. Number 3, the synonym is fixation. That's what this is all about. You have a fixation on a thing. Could be whatever. It doesn't have to be sexual. It's just you're fixated on it. All right. What does the etymology say? I'm very curious. French and Portuguese. From the French, fetiche. From the Portuguese, fetisho. Don't know how to pronounce that word. From feitico or fetisho or co or so, which means artificial or false. From the Latin factitius, which means factitious. Factitious. Oh man, I don't remember what it's like. I think now it seems like it's related to the opposite of facts. Factitious is more like false and artificial. And so that's an interesting etymology. It's like, here's a thing that you are putting all this energy into, but it is not real. It is false. That's where the etymology comes from. But clearly, it's not false to that person. It's not fake to them. It's very real and important. Okay, now we got to move on. I have no idea what the sound effect was when I recorded this probably a couple of weeks ago, so I'm just going to go, woo! Now we have fetishism. Fetishism, and again, you can use a CH instead of an SH, which seems to come from the French spelling and kind of the Portuguese with a CH. Noun from 1801. Number 1, belief in magical fetishes. And I think we're talking about the little carved stone animals or whatever it is, really. Could be a ring. Number 2, extravagant, irrational devotion. Not only is that devotion irrational, there's no rational reason why you should have this devotion, according to society, but it is extravagant. It's so up there in the tops of the mountains of irrational devotion. 3. The pathological displacement of erotic interest and satisfaction to a fetish. Fetishism. You have this fetishism. You have this pathological. Now, displacement, that's an interesting word. That feels like a little judgy. I don't know. Is it? Display you. I don't know what the proper use of this word is here. The pathological displacement of erotic interest and satisfaction to a fetish. Yep. It's that you have the fetishism of the fetish, the thing that you are sexually, erotically attracted to. Fetishist is a noun. Fetishistic is an adjective. Fetishistically, that is an adverb, and a funny long word to say. Fetishistically. You can do a thing, an action fetishistically. Sure, why not? All right, we got one more word here in this fetish section. Ooh. Fetishize with a Z. Verb from 1920. It's a transitive verb, and it means to make a fetish of, and also treat or regard with fetishism. So, if you have a thing for feet, then you would be fetishizing feet in whatever way that you want to. It's cool as long as you're not hurting anybody and it's consensual. It's cool, man. It's cool. All right. Let's make a sound effect. I'll use this one or I'll use the next one. Whoo. Now we are moving on to back to just Spencer alone. Or maybe it's been me alone the whole time. We now have fetlock. Fetlock. Noun from the 14th century. 1a is a projection bearing a tuft of hair on the back of the leg above the hoof of a horse or similar animal. And it says to see the horse illustration, which we got a couple of letters until then. A projection bearing a tuft of hair on the back of the leg. I'm sure I've seen these. Just the back of their leg. You imagine the horse's leg, and just back here, there's a bloop, bloop, a little hair. It's a fetlock. Well, I've heard of lock of hair, so that makes sense, but I don't know what fête is in this context. What else we got? We got 1b, the tuft of hair itself. Oh, so the projection on the leg where the hair comes from is the fetlock, and the hair is the fetlock. The fetlock on the fetlock. The fetlock on the fetlock. Blue, doo, blue, doo, doo, blue. Number 2, the joint of the limb at the fetlock. Is this the ankle? Is it the knee? Do I need to bring up a picture of the fetlock on a horse so I can see what we're talking about? Let's find my letters. L-O-C-K. Here we go, and there's a fetlock on a horse thing. The fetlock is a hinge joint in a horse's lower leg that connects the cannon bone to the long pastern bone. And let's look at this image. Oh, yes, it's down very low, basically the ankle. Yep, it's that first, their foot, and then it goes up there, right here where those two meet. That is the fetlock joint. And then that's the protrusion, I guess, where the hair comes from, and the hair is the fetlock. So where did this word come from? It's from all the way down to Old English fot, which means foot. So yes, it's the lock of hair at the foot. That's it. They could call it the foot lock, the feet lock. It's the fetlock. Ooh. Now we have the prefix feto or feti, which basically just means fetus, as in the example feticide, which we saw before. It wasn't fetus side, it's F-E-T-I-C-I-D-E. And sometimes, which we're going to see, I think, in the next few words, sometimes it's F-E-T-O to mean fetus. And let's see, anything else about that one? No, but so we got two more words, which I'm assuming are related to fetuses. So here we go with those words. Ready, set, go. Whoop. We have fetology. Fetology, noun from 1965. This is a branch of medical science concerned with the study and treatment of the fetus in the uterus. The fetus in the uterus. The fetus is in the uterus. Boom, 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 boom. Fetologist is a noun, and maybe Allie Wardonologies should have a fetology episode, because why not? She's trying to go through all the ologies, so you got to talk about fetuses. Fetuses. Okay, now we got one more word for this episode. Woo-wee! We've got fetoprotein. Some people say fetoprotein. Why did they do that? I see how it's spelled, which is fetoprotein, but it's just the normal word protein. I didn't know that people sometimes say protein. Well, now I need to know, did they do that for just the normal word protein? What's the pronunciation for that one? And where is that one? Protei. Here we go. Protein. Protein. Yes. Some people say protein because it has that EI in there. All right. Fetoprotein is a noun from 1965, same year as fetology. Coincidence? This is any of several fetal antigens present in the adult in some abnormal conditions. Any of several. So it's a fetal antigen. It's a thing, I guess, in a fetus, but sometimes, seems kind of odd to have put that in there, but so sometimes it's in adults, even though I guess it's not supposed to be. How does it affect the adult? Is this a medical condition that we should be concerned about? Interesting. Fetal protein. Okay. Maybe it's a really good protein because the fetuses need all the extra good stuff. Maybe when I listen someday to the fetology episode on ologies, they will talk about the fetoproteins. Okay, now we must pick a word of the episode. We're picking a word of the episode. Today we had fetch, fetching, fetch up, fête or fate, fête champêtre or fête champêtre. Feticide, fetid, fetish, fetishism, fetishize, fetlock, feto or feti, fetology, and fetoprotein. Well, because I have not recorded those three words, I don't know if I can pick a word of the episode just yet. Do I have to figure this out later? Let's see. Was there anything else that really jumped out at me? I mean, I love a party, an outdoor party. Let's see. Well, let's just pick that one then. Okay, it's a fun word to say and spell as well. It is fête champêtre. Fete. Next word, champtre. Fête champêtre. We're having a party outside. It's a fête champêtre. Maybe we're honoring somebody at our fête champêtre. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, now I'm going to tell you about a couple movies, because that is what I like to do. I like to talk about movies. I just ordered a new phone yesterday, so the next time you see me, I might have a whole brand new phone. I'm 4 generations behind. I watched Janet Planet. I watched this on the plane. It's a very sort of meditative, kind of chill story about, it's really sort of focuses around a little girl and her mom, and I think it's like just summer, right? Isn't that, or does it take place over a year? I'm trying to remember. I think it's sort of summer transitioning into the beginning of the school year, and they have just sort of an interesting life and an interesting relationship, and the girl is very smart, and yeah, it's a very nice sort of interesting, unique movie. And then we watched Woman of the Hour, and this is This is based on a true story about wasn't this? Now I'm trying to remember that it was the dating game. No, wait, what was this show called? Um, oh Christ, can't remember what that show was called. It'd probably be easier to do this on my phone. Um, well, anyway, it's very good and very well acted and so interesting, and it sort of goes back and forth. There was a guy on this show who, by the way, first of all, we have to call out Anna Kendrick, who was fantastic in it, acted and directed it. And it's the story of Cheryl Bradshaw, who was a single woman looking for a suitor on the hit 1970s TV show, the name is the dating. It was called The Dating Game, yeah. Where there's the woman behind the wall, or she's on one side of the wall, and then there's the three guys on the other side of the wall, and one of the guys happened to be a serial killer, and it's like, what's gonna happen? It's very well done and very tough to watch at times and entertaining. Okay, that is it for this show. Thank you so much for checking it out. Please tell the people that you know. Happy 2025. And until next time, this is Spencer dispensing information. Goodbye.